Before you count sheep, count mysteries.
Every day, more than 400 million terabytes of data are created online. Billions of messages are sent. Millions of videos are uploaded. Countless comments appear beneath posts, articles, and social media feeds. It has never been easier to connect with another person. Or so it seems. Because over the past few years, something strange has happened. People began noticing conversations that felt different. Comments that sounded almost human, yet somehow empty. Social media profiles with thousands of followers, but no real identity. Videos narrated by voices that never belonged to anyone. Photographs of people who never existed. As artificial intelligence became more powerful, a disturbing question started spreading across the internet. What if the majority of what we see online is no longer created by humans? This idea became known as the dead internet theory. According to its supporters, the internet quietly changed years ago. They believe that much of today's online activity is generated by bots, artificial intelligence, and automated systems, while real human interaction becomes increasingly rare. It sounds like science fiction, perhaps even paranoia. But behind this strange conspiracy lies a surprising amount of reality. Because bots do exist, artificial intelligence is creating content faster than ever before. And every year, it becomes more difficult to tell what's real and what isn't. So, is the internet actually dying? Or is humanity simply entering a completely new digital age? This is the story of the dead internet theory. Long before algorithms decided what we should watch, before artificial intelligence could write articles, before social media became the center of everyday life, the internet felt very different. In the 1990s and early 2000s, the web was smaller, slower, more personal. People built their own websites from scratch. Online forums were filled with lengthy conversations between strangers who gradually became familiar usernames. Blogs reflected individual personalities rather than optimized search results. Finding information often meant exploring dozens of independent websites instead of relying on a handful of giant platforms. It wasn't perfect, but it felt human. The internet was shaped by millions of individuals creating content because they wanted to share ideas, hobbies, knowledge, or simply connect with others. There were no recommendation algorithms deciding what deserved attention. No artificial intelligence generating thousands of articles in seconds. No endless streams of automatically produced videos. Behind almost every web page, there was a real person. As internet access expanded, so did the number of users. By the late 2000s, social media platforms transformed the online world. Facebook connected friends across continents. YouTube allowed anyone to become a creator. Twitter made it possible for news to spread across the globe within minutes. The internet was growing at an extraordinary pace. But something else was growing alongside it. Algorithms. Instead of users deciding what became popular, computer systems increasingly determined what appeared on our screens. Their goal was simple: keep people online for as long as possible. The longer users stayed, the more advertisements they viewed. The more advertisements they viewed, the more money platforms earned. To achieve this, algorithms learned what captured our attention. What made us click? What made us angry? What made us stay? and became a place that explored us. Every click, every search, every like, every second spent watching a video became data used to predict what we wanted to see next. For many people, this change happened so gradually, they barely noticed it. But others believed something much bigger was taking place. They claimed the internet wasn't simply changing. They believed it was being replaced. Not by new websites. Not by new technology. But by something that wasn't human at all. And according to them, that transformation had already begun. Long before artificial intelligence could write essays, generate videos, or imitate human voices, the internet had already begun changing. Quietly. Almost invisibly. The first signs appeared in the form of something most people had never heard of. Bots. At their simplest, bots are computer programs designed to perform tasks automatically. Many of them are completely harmless. Search engines use bots to index websites. Online stores use them to update prices. Messaging apps rely on automated systems to deliver notifications. Without bots, much of the modern internet simply wouldn't function. But not every bot was created to help people. As social media exploded in popularity, a different kind of bot began appearing across the internet. Accounts that looked like ordinary users. They had profile pictures, usernames, followers, sometimes even years of activity. Yet behind the screen, there was no human being. These automated accounts could post thousands of comments every day, share links within seconds, like posts, follow users, or spread the exact same message across thousands of different conversations at once. Researchers soon discovered that social media platforms contained millions of these accounts. Some promoted products. Others generated advertising revenue by driving fake engagement. But some had a far more serious purpose: influencing public opinion. During major political events, elections, and international conflicts, investigators uncovered large networks of automated accounts designed to amplify certain narratives, attack opponents, or make unpopular opinions appear widely supported. The goal wasn't always to convince people. Sometimes, it was simply to create confusion. If thousands of accounts repeated the same message, many users assumed it represented the opinion of thousands of real people, even when it didn't. Then came another industry: click farms. In anonymous office buildings around the world, workers were paid to create fake engagement. Liking videos, posting comments, following influencers, watching content repeatedly. Not because they cared about it, but because someone paid them to make it appear popular. Over time, distinguishing genuine popularity from manufactured popularity became increasingly difficult. Then artificial intelligence entered the picture. Unlike traditional bots, modern AI could do far more than repeat the same message. It could write unique comments, answer questions, hold conversations, adjust its writing style, even imitate emotion. Suddenly, fake accounts no longer sounded robotic. They sounded human. A comment written by artificial intelligence could receive replies from another AI-generated account, while real users unknowingly joined the conversation. For the average person scrolling through social media, there was almost no way to tell the difference. The internet had reached a turning point. Automation was no longer hiding in the background. It was beginning to participate in the conversations themselves. And for some people, that realization raised an unsettling question. If bots had already become nearly impossible to recognize, what would happen once artificial intelligence became even more powerful? For years, bots followed simple instructions: They repeated the same messages, shared the same links, and were often easy to recognize. But then, artificial intelligence changed everything. In late 2022, the release of powerful AI chatbots introduced the world to a new kind of technology. For the first time, millions of people could hold a conversation with a machine that felt surprisingly natural. It could answer questions, write essays, explain complex ideas, translate languages, generate computer code, and do it all in seconds. The technology improved at an astonishing pace. Soon, AI wasn't just writing text. It was creating images so realistic that people struggled to tell them apart from photographs. It generated music, designed websites, produced voices that sounded almost identical to real people. Eventually, it began generating videos. What once required entire teams of artists, editors, writers, and designers could suddenly be created by a single person using a laptop. Or by another AI. The Internet entered a new era. Every day, millions of pieces of AI-generated content appeared online. Articles, product reviews, news summaries, social media posts, marketing emails, blog entries, video scripts. Even entire YouTube channels began producing content with little or no human involvement. Some creators used AI simply as a tool to work faster. Others allowed it to write, narrate, edit, and publish almost everything automatically. For businesses, it was a revolution. For the Internet, it became increasingly difficult to know who, or what, was creating the content. Then came another development. Artificial intelligence no longer needed to imitate just writing. It could imitate people. Voice cloning technology became capable of reproducing someone's speech after hearing only a short audio sample. Image generators could create faces that had never existed. Video generation models could produce realistic scenes featuring people who had never stood in front of a camera. Influencers appeared on social media, without ever being born. Some gained hundreds of thousands of followers. Brands signed advertising deals with entirely digital personalities. Many users never realized they weren't real. At the same time, recommendation algorithms began rewarding speed above almost everything else. The more content published, the more opportunities there were to capture attention. Artificial intelligence made it possible to produce that content at a scale no human could match. Hundreds of articles, thousands of images, endless streams of short videos. Every single day, the Internet was becoming flooded with material created in seconds rather than hours. For many people, this was simply the next step in technological progress. But others saw something far more disturbing. If machines could now write, speak, draw, film, and even hold convincing conversations, what percentage of the Internet was still being created by real human beings? No one knew the answer. And into that uncertainty, a strange idea began spreading across online forums. An idea that claimed the transformation had already happened. That the Internet people remembered no longer existed. It had already been replaced. And that idea became known as the dead Internet theory. The idea sounds almost impossible. What if the Internet didn't slowly become less human, but stopped being human altogether? According to supporters of the dead Internet theory, that transformation has already happened. The theory first gained widespread attention in 2021 after an anonymous post appeared on an online forum. Its author claimed that somewhere around 2016 or 2017, the Internet fundamentally changed. Not gradually. Almost overnight. According to the post, genuine conversations between real people became increasingly rare. Instead, social media platforms, websites, and even comment sections were allegedly being filled with automated accounts, artificial intelligence, and algorithmically generated content. The theory suggests that much of what people see online today isn't created to inform, or entertain, or connect people. Instead, it exists to generate engagement. Every click, every share, every argument, every second of attention. Supporters argue that this explains why so much content online feels strangely repetitive. The same headlines, the same videos, the same opinions, the same phrases appearing across completely different platforms. They point to comment sections filled with generic responses, accounts that post hundreds of times a day, articles that say a lot without saying anything meaningful, websites seemingly created only to satisfy search engines, and social media feeds overflowing with content that feels almost manufactured. For many people, this doesn't sound like a conspiracy at all. After all, bots are real. Artificial intelligence is real. Recommendation algorithms are real. Companies already use automated systems to create advertisements, product descriptions, customer support, and social media posts. So where exactly does reality end, and the conspiracy begin? This is where the dead internet theory takes a dramatic turn. Some supporters believe that bots are no longer just tools. They argue that automated systems now generate a significant portion of online activity, interacting not only with humans, but with each other. According to the most extreme versions of the theory, entire discussions may begin with artificial accounts, spread through recommendation algorithms, and eventually attract real users who unknowingly become part of the conversation. Others take the theory even further. They claim governments, corporations, or unknown organizations intentionally flood the internet with artificial content to shape public opinion, influence behavior, or distract people from important issues. These claims are extraordinary, and they require extraordinary evidence. So far, that evidence has never been found. No credible investigation has demonstrated that the internet is secretly controlled by a hidden network of artificial intelligence. No verified proof shows that most online conversations are fake. But that hasn't stopped the theory from spreading. Because for many people, it doesn't feel completely impossible anymore. Not in a world where artificial intelligence can write articles, create videos, clone voices, and hold conversations that sound almost indistinguishable from our own. The question is no longer whether machines can imitate people. They already can. The real question is how often they're doing it, without us realizing it. The dead internet theory raises an unsettling question. But does the evidence actually support it? Surprisingly, some parts of the theory are grounded in reality. Others are far more difficult to prove. There is little debate about one fact. The internet is filled with automated activity. Researchers have estimated that a significant share of online traffic comes not from humans, but from bots. Some monitor websites for security threats. Others index search engines, deliver content, or perform routine digital tasks that keep the internet running. Many are useful. Some are essential. But others exist for very different reasons. Advertising fraud, spam campaigns, fake engagement, political influence, social media manipulation. Over the past decade, investigators have repeatedly uncovered networks of automated accounts designed to spread propaganda, inflate popularity, or manipulate public opinion. In some cases, thousands of accounts were operated together, creating the illusion that a particular idea or opinion was far more popular than it actually was. These operations were real, and they were documented. Artificial intelligence has only accelerated this trend. Today, a single person can generate hundreds of articles in one afternoon. Thousands of social media posts. Entire websites filled with AI-written content. Not necessarily because anyone wants to read them, but because search engines reward constant publishing. As a result, many users have noticed something familiar. Search for almost any question online, and you'll often find dozens of websites repeating nearly identical information. Different authors, different layouts, yet somehow the same words, the same structure, the same conclusions. It can feel as though the internet is talking to itself. But this is where the evidence begins to change. Supporters of the dead internet theory argue that these patterns prove the internet is already dominated by artificial intelligence. Scientists and technology researchers disagree. While they acknowledge the rapid growth of AI-generated content, they point out that there is no credible evidence showing that most of the internet is created by machines. Nor is there evidence that the majority of online conversations are secretly generated by artificial intelligence. In reality, billions of people still use the internet every day. They upload photos, record videos, send messages, share opinions, and create content that is undeniably human. The internet has changed dramatically. But changing is not the same as disappearing. Perhaps the greatest weakness of the dead internet theory is that it often mistakes personal experience for universal truth. If someone's social media feed feels repetitive, it doesn't necessarily mean the entire internet has become artificial. Recommendation algorithms are designed to show users more of what keeps them engaged. Over time, that can create the illusion that everything online looks the same. Not because every post was generated by AI, but because the algorithm keeps showing similar content. And yet, one uncomfortable question remains. Even if the dead internet theory is exaggerated, what happens if artificial intelligence continues improving at its current pace? If every year it becomes harder to recognize what was written? Will there come a day when the theory no longer sounds like a conspiracy, but simply a description of reality? Spotting fake content online was relatively easy. Poorly edited photographs, robotic voices, awkwardly written messages. Most people could recognize them within seconds. Today, that confidence is beginning to disappear. Artificial intelligence is improving at a remarkable pace. Images that once looked obviously fake can now fool millions of people before they're ever questioned. Voices generated by AI have become so realistic that many listeners cannot distinguish them from real recordings. Videos can be created showing events that never happened, or people saying words they never spoke. These are known as deepfakes. At first, they were easy to identify. Strange facial movements, unnatural lighting, distorted expressions. But with every new generation of AI, those flaws become harder to find. The consequences extend far beyond entertainment. Criminals have used cloned voices to impersonate family members during emergency phone calls. Businesses have reported financial fraud involving AI-generated voices that sounded exactly like senior executives. False videos have spread across social media during major world events, reaching millions of viewers before they could be verified. In many cases, the technology itself wasn't the biggest problem. The speed of the internet was. By the time the truth appeared, the fake content had already reached the world. Artificial intelligence is also changing something less obvious: trust. For centuries, photographs and recordings were considered powerful forms of evidence. Seeing was believing. Hearing was believing. But what happens when both can be created by a machine? Suddenly, Every image becomes questionable. Every recording becomes uncertain. Every viral video carries a new question. Is it real? Or was it generated? This growing uncertainty has become one of the defining challenges of the digital age. Researchers are developing tools to detect AI-generated content. Technology companies are experimenting with digital watermarks and authenticity systems. Governments are debating new regulations. But the technology continues evolving at extraordinary speed. Each improvement makes artificial intelligence more convincing and detection more difficult. Perhaps the greatest impact of AI isn't that it creates fake content. Perhaps it's that it forces us to question everything we see. And that brings us back to the dead internet theory. Maybe the internet isn't completely controlled by artificial intelligence. Maybe most conversations still involve real people. But if we can no longer confidently distinguish between human and machine, does the difference become harder to notice? Because perhaps the future of the internet won't arrive all at once. Perhaps it's already arriving, one generated image, one cloned voice, and one AI-written conversation at a time. The internet was humanity's greatest invention. A place where billions of people could share ideas, learn, create, and connect with one another. It changed the way we communicate, the way we work, the way we understand the world. But today, the internet is changing once again. Not because people are leaving it, but because something new has joined them. Artificial intelligence. Whether we realize it or not, AI is already writing articles, answering customer support messages, generating images, editing videos, creating music, designing websites, and increasingly, holding conversations that feel remarkably human. None of this proves the dead internet theory. There is no credible evidence that the internet has already been taken over by artificial intelligence. Billions of real people continue to post, create, and communicate every single day. The theory remains a theory. But perhaps that isn't the most important question anymore. Maybe the real question isn't whether the internet is already dead. Maybe it's how much of it will still belong to humans 10 years from now. Every major technological revolution has changed society in ways people never expected. The printing press transformed knowledge. Television transformed culture. The internet transformed communication. Artificial intelligence may transform all three. Not overnight. Not with a single dramatic event. But gradually. Quietly. One generated article. One AI voice. One synthetic image. One automated conversation at a time. Perhaps future generations won't remember an internet created almost entirely by people. Perhaps they'll grow up in a world where talking to artificial intelligence feels as ordinary as sending a text message. And perhaps they won't see anything unusual about it. Because the biggest changes in history rarely happen all at once. They happen so slowly that most people don't notice until the world around them has already changed. So, is the dead internet theory true? Probably not. At least not in the way its strongest supporters claim. But it may have identified something far more interesting. Not that the internet is dead, but that it's evolving into something humanity has never experienced before. A place where humans and machines create together, compete for attention together, and sometimes become almost impossible to tell apart. The future of the internet has not been written yet. Ironically, part of it may already be writing itself. Maybe one day, someone will finally solve this mystery. But until then, don't count sheep, count mysteries.